Welcome back to the EMT Spot's Blood Pressure Podcast. I'm your host, Samuel Harrison. And with me today, the incredible Olivia Harper. We're diving into something really mind-blowing today. Detecting high blood pressure. Using just your voice.
Yeah, it really does sound like science fiction, doesn't it? But this technology is real, and it could totally change how we think about and manage hypertension.
Okay, I'll admit it. I'm a little skeptical. I mean, how can a voice recording possibly tell you if someone has high blood pressure?
It's all about those really subtle vocal cues that we don't even notice consciously. Think about it. When you're stressed or anxious, your voice changes, right? It gets higher or shakier, maybe even louder or softer.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
So you're saying those changes are linked to blood pressure?
Exactly. Researchers have found hundreds of these tiny vocal biomarkers, things like pitch and energy distribution, even sound sharpness. All of them can reflect changes in your cardiovascular system.
Oh, that's wild. So we're talking about just listening to someone's voice and being able to hear these changes.
Not quite. These biomarkers are so tiny you can't even hear them. That's where the tech comes in. A company called INQUERIES, they developed a mobile app, uses AI and machine learning to analyze these vocal patterns.
Okay, so just record your voice with the app, and it tells you if you have hypertension.
That's the idea. And it's surprisingly accurate. Studies have shown this technology can be up to 84% accurate for women and 77% for men.
Wow, those are really good numbers. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, can we just take a step back? Remind everyone why hypertension is such a big deal.
Of course, it's called the silent killer for a reason. Hypertension often doesn't have any symptoms until it's too late, like causing damage to your body, things like heart attacks, strokes, kidney problems.
And on top of all that, traditional blood pressure monitoring is kind of a pain for a lot of people.
For sure. Think about it. People in rural areas who don't have easy access to healthcare, or even people who just can't find the time to make regular doctor's appointments, it's a real obstacle to early detection.
So this voice analysis technology could really be a game changer, especially for people who can't use traditional monitoring.
Exactly. It has the potential to make blood pressure screening way more accessible, affordable, and convenient for everyone.
And if we can catch hypertension early, we can treat it early and hopefully avoid those serious complications later on.
Precisely. Early detection is the key to better health outcomes.
Okay, so we've established this voice analysis tech is pretty amazing, but how does it actually work? What's the science behind it all?
Well, Click Labs, they've got a really impressive track record in this area. They actually used a similar approach to detect diabetes through voice analysis.
Wait, detecting diabetes through someone's voice?
That's even crazier. Right. It turns out blood glucose levels can also affect subtle characteristics of your voice, especially pitch. It's amazing how much our voices can tell us about our health.
So this voice analysis technology is more than just a one-trick pony we could use it for. All sorts of health conditions.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this field so exciting. We're only just beginning to understand what vocal biomarkers can tell us about our health.
I'm starting to see why you're so excited about this. This could totally change how we do preventative care. Imagine being able to screen for multiple health problems just by talking into your phone.
It is incredible. And it's not just about convenience. It's about giving people control over their own health.
That's a great point, giving people the information they need
Yeah.
to make good decisions about their health.
Exactly. And the more information we collect, the better we can make these algorithms and the more accurate they become. It's a field that's changing so quickly, and the potential is huge.
Okay, so let's get into the details about how accurate this blood pressure technology is. You said it was pretty impressive. But how does it compare to traditional methods?
Well, in one study, they used two different definitions for what's considered high blood pressure. One was a little more lenient, and the other was stricter.
So did the accuracy change, depending on which definition they used?
It did. With the lenient definition, the accuracy was as high as 84% for women and 77% for men.
That's pretty amazing. What about the stricter definition?
Even with that one, the accuracy was still good, 63% for women and 86% for men.
Those are still great numbers,
Yeah.
especially for something that only uses a voice recording.
Yeah, and what's interesting is they actually developed separate models for men and women.
Why is that? Does blood pressure affect men and women differently?
It does. Men and women can have hypertension in different ways. So by making separate models for each gender, they can get results that are more personalized and accurate.
Makes sense. This level of personalization could really change how we do early detection and treatment.
For sure. It's part of a bigger trend in healthcare.
Yeah.
towards more personalized approaches. It's not one size fits all anymore.
This is all so fascinating.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, what stood out to you the most about this technology?
Honestly, it's the potential impact on how we access healthcare. The fact that we might be able to screen for hypertension using just a smartphone app. That's revolutionary. It could make a huge difference, especially for people who don't have easy access to regular healthcare.
Totally agree. This technology has the potential to break down those barriers and get healthcare to the people who need it most.
Exactly. That's what makes this research so exciting. It's not just about developing cool technology, it's about using it to make people's lives better.
Well said. This has been an incredible deep dive so far, and we're just getting started. Welcome back to the EMTSpot's Blood Pressure Podcast. We're talking about a future where checking your blood pressure could be as easy as using a smartphone app. Pretty crazy stuff.
It really is. And it's not just about how convenient it is. Think about the impact this could have on preventative care. Imagine monitoring your blood pressure all the time without having to go to the doctor or even own a blood pressure cuff.
That would change everything, especially for people who don't have easy access to healthcare or have trouble making time for appointments.
Absolutely. And that early intervention could be what makes all the difference. If people know they have hypertension early, they can change their lifestyle or start medication before it causes any serious problem.
Right. It's all about taking charge of your health, being proactive. This technology could really help people do that.
Exactly. And it's not just about individual health. Think about the impact on the healthcare system as a whole.
That's a great point. How could this technology change things on a larger scale?
Well, if people can check their blood pressure
Yeah.
more easily and more often, it could lead to earlier diagnoses and maybe even prevent some cases of hypertension.
That would be incredible. It could take some of the pressure off
Yeah,
of healthcare resources and maybe even lower healthcare costs in general.
exactly. It's a win-win. Better health for individuals and a more efficient healthcare system.
So what's next for this technology? Where do you see this going?
It's a really exciting time to be working in this field. Click Labs is already working on expanding this technology to detect other health conditions, like diabetes. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see even more applications in the next few years.
It's amazing to think about the possibilities. What other conditions do you think we could detect using voice analysis in the future?
Well, there's already research happening, looking at using voice analysis to detect things like heart disease, mental health conditions, even some types of cancer.
Wait a minute. Cancer detection through voice analysis. That sounds almost too good to be true.
I know, it's pretty amazing. But there's more and more research suggesting that certain vocal patterns could be linked to specific diseases, even in the early stages.
So you're saying our smartphones could become powerful diagnostic tools, helping us catch diseases early and get the treatment we need.
Exactly, and that could completely change healthcare, especially when it comes to preventative care and early intervention.
This is all so inspiring. It feels like we're on the verge of
A healthcare revolution. It really does. And the best part is that this technology is becoming more accessible and affordable all the time.
That's fantastic. The more people who can use this technology, the more lives we can potentially save.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about, using technology to empower people and create a healthier future for everyone.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot today. But before we move on, I want to remind everyone why we started this podcast.
You mean our passion for blood pressure awareness and education?
Exactly. Hypertension is serious, but it's often overlooked, or people don't realize how serious it is. We want to use this platform to raise awareness, share useful information, and encourage everyone to take their blood pressure seriously.
And to remind people that managing your blood pressure doesn't have to be complicated or overwhelming. There are lots of resources out there, and knowledge is power.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So if you're listening and you haven't checked your blood pressure lately, please make an appointment with your doctor or visit a local clinic. It's a simple thing. That could save your life.
That's a great reminder. And if you want to learn more about blood pressure, healthy living, and the latest advances in healthcare, be sure to subscribe to the EMTSpot's Blood Pressure Podcast.
We release new episodes every week, full of interesting insights and expert advice. And don't forget to leave us a rating and review. We love hearing from you.
We'll be back next week with another deep dive into the world of blood pressure and heart health. Until then, stay healthy and stay curious. Welcome back to the EMTSpot's Blood Pressure Podcast we've been talking about. This incredible new technology that can figure out if you have hypertension just by listening to your voice.
It's really something else, isn't it? It feels like we're getting a glimpse into the future of healthcare.
I totally agree. But with any new technology, we have to think about the bigger picture. What are your thoughts on the impact this could have on society as a whole?
That's a really interesting question. There's so much to think about. On one hand, this technology could really make healthcare more equal, make screenings more affordable and accessible for everyone.
That would be huge, especially for people who don't have easy access to healthcare right now.
Exactly. It could give people the power to take charge of their own health and maybe even catch conditions like hypertension sooner, which means better outcomes in the long run.
But I'm guessing there's some challenges too, things we need to be careful about.
Of course. With any powerful new technology, there are always things to consider. Data privacy is a big one these voice recordings have. Sensitive health information, so we have to make sure that data is kept secure and used responsibly.
That's really important. People's health information needs to be protected.
Absolutely. And as this technology keeps developing, we're going to have to keep talking about ethical guidelines and regulations to make sure it's used the right way and that it benefits everyone.
Sounds like we have a lot to think about.
We do, but I'm optimistic. I think this technology can really make healthcare better, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Me too. It's been a fascinating deep dive into the world of voice-based hypertension detection. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty inspired.
I am too. It's amazing to see how technology and innovation can come together to create a healthier future.
And that's what the EMT Blood Pressure Podcast is all about. We're here to explore the latest advances in blood pressure management, share inspiring stories, and give you the knowledge to take control of your own heart health.
And if you like what you've heard today, please subscribe to our podcast and share it with your friends and family.
And don't forget to leave us a rating and review. We'd love hearing from you. That's all for today. Thanks for joining us on the TheEMTSpot's Blood Pressure Podcast. I'm Samuel Harrison.
And I'm Olivia Harper. Stay curious and stay healthy.